Hello, welcome to the Creators Guild podcast. I'm Chris Howell, and with me,
Jared Lovelady.
and we are here to talk about all things creative. And we have our guest with us back once again,
Liz Verdi. Hey guys.
and we're going to do another round of learning with Liz.
Yes.
So, how have things been for you?
Pretty good. I'm of course working on that new book. I'm
Mhm.
past the brainstorming at this point and have actually started writing, so that's been fun to kind of get into a new world.
Yeah, the thunderstorms, tornadoes, mild downpours. How has the brainstorming gone?
It went really well, I think. It was I think the world building was the hardest part, just because I had to do a lot of research on tundras and things like that to figure that out.
Yeah.
But like for characters and stuff, like I just get one character and then I'm like, okay, I got that person. And then it's just like, okay, who do they play off the best? And then the whole cast just pops up. It's really easy for me to build characters. So that part wasn't hard. And then the plot, I don't really plot everything right out at the beginning. So, but I have like the major points of what's going to happen in the story. And then I kind of write in between them freelance style. So that wasn't too difficult.
Gotcha. Now, when you said like you started researching tundras, researching little glimpse there into
Yes.
what's coming. So like we'll go through when we're quote unquote world building. We're like coming up with world and story, and then world and we want our characters to do blah blah blah, or we want this event to happen, and then we're like, well, that should happen here. Well, that environment, we should put it in this environment. Well, that means it needs to happen in this region, and then we create a whole new region. So, are you like plotting out here's what my world is everywhere first, or are you making it up as you go, and then like adding in? Like, oh no, I need to know I just said tundra. I need to look up tundra.
Yeah.
So let me add that in.
It's a little bit of both. So I have like, I know it's a cold based world. So there are things that I've done like holidays, they center around weather patterns and things like that. So that kind of stuff I can do beforehand. But then sometimes when I get to it, like if I get to a holiday in my story, some of them I would have already planned out how they celebrate it, what happens. Some I'd just be like, there's a holiday. And I'm like, oh no, like I'm on that day. Like, what's the holiday going to be?
Yeah.
So it just depends on if I have, I try not to put too much effort in the front side of it, because sometimes I'll write a story and I don't ever use that holiday. Yeah. So it's like, why would I build the whole thing if I'm not going to use it? And it might come up later. So I just know like, okay, this is kind of how they're going to do birthdays. This is kind of like what they're going to do this. And then I set it aside. And then if I actually put it in my story, I'll at that point get the details down.
Yeah. But it's always good stuff that, someday when your books are out there and millions of people are buying them and they want to ask you questions and you're on stage at a con.
Yeah.
And they're like, why did your character go do X, Y, or Z? Like, well, when they have this holiday and they do this type of celebration and people are like, well, that's not in the book. You're like, it's not.
It's not.
But it's in the world.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I have a whole document full of that kind of stuff that may or may not end up in the book, but it is good for like bonus material or insider information for later. So yeah. It's not a waste, I don't think, but I do try to make sure that I just do a minimum, because I could spend the whole time just building stuff and then you never get to writing the story.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, you end up building, like I have an entire Lego city that takes up my whole house that I built.
Yeah.
Like, well, what do you do with it? It's just there.
It's just there, yeah.
It exists. I try not to trip over it when I walk through.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for Learning with Liz, you brought a topic with you today?
Yes. So you actually mentioned it at one point. I did a post on what is false tension in a story, and you're like, "Oh, this is a cool one. We should talk about it sometime." So I was like, "Okay, so we'll do that one." So yeah, that's what I want to talk about today, is because a lot of the time in stories, everybody's like, you want to build up the conflict, the tension, you want to draw people in. And newer writers, and sometimes even experienced writers, I've seen do it, where they kind of take shortcuts to create tension, and it feels like a cheat kind of in the end.
So what do you? I always do the give me an example of that. And you're always
Yes.
like, gosh dang it. So from the cheat perspective, like you don't have to think of a specific example of something you've experienced, although
Yeah.
you can. What's an example of cheating? False tension.
So the cliche one is you start your book off in a really tense scene where there's like, I don't know, a car chase or someone's running for their life. And you get readers kind of drawn in, like, oh no, like what's happening? Why is this happening? What's going to happen to this person? And then at the end of the chapter, you have the alarm clock go off, and it's like, it was all a dream. And it has nothing to do with the story. It was just they've heard start a story in media res, like in the action to draw people in. And their story maybe isn't about, that kind of thing. Maybe it's a romance or something. And so they're like, well, I got to do this. And so they throw that in the beginning. And it's just like, well, I picked this book because I like that kind of story. And that's not what you're telling.
Yeah.
And that frustrates most people. And it also frustrates them when they're like, care about this person and want to make sure that they're okay. And then they were never endangered to begin with or something. So,
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the most cliche one.
Okay. Yeah. It was all a dream is the.
Yes.
Speaking of to rabbit hole, I need to just be like, okay, rabbit hole or derailment, something like that. So I've got my nice Rick and Morty socks on. I've watched a lot of Rick and Morty. And for anybody who's watched Rick and Morty, they have like there's an episode where they're on a story train, and the train just like goes around every car. It's different anthologies.
Oh.
And they're all like cliche, every cliche that exists in storytelling.
Okay.
They're all put together in anthologies. And the premise is a version of Rick is like the main character on this train. Mm-hmm. And so everybody tells stories about Rick. And each car is just a different genre of groups of people that are telling stories about Rick. Okay. And Rick and Morty get stuck on the train.
So on they have to listen to all these.
Well, yeah, and they're trying to get off and like one of the things they're like, there's been a breach in continuity, and like masks fall down, and instead of oxygen it says continuity, and they have to breathe in.
That's great.
All this different stuff, but they do a lot of stuff like dreams. Multi-layered stuff like Inception type things, whatnot. And I was like, what would be hilarious is when they get to the end and they're like, okay, Rick and Morty is ending. They get to the very end, and then they have in one of the episodes or a couple of episodes, there's a game that you can play. Mm-hmm. You put a headset on, and it actually dilates time, and you play the life of somebody. Ah. And Morty plays it, and he like is an old guy that works in a carpet shop, but he spends he lives the entire guy's life in a matter of like he's in the game for like 5 minutes. Huh. But it's this guy lives to be like 70 something years old and then dies. So Morty has lived an entire life in those few minutes. Yeah. I was like, what if you get to the end and the whole thing is it's either a dream or you come out a layer and it's some kid in an arcade and it's like, thanks for playing the Rick and Morty game. Yeah. Something that's like all of it was fake.
Yeah.
It was all like they've done enough simulation type stuff. It's all a simulation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that would be really satisfying or really frustrating.
Really annoying. Yeah, I think it depends because like this is more of like at the beginning or kind of in the middle of the story. If it's the whole story and then they say it's a dream or whatever, kind of like Inception, like is it really a dream or not?
Yeah,
or
the spinning top and you don't know.
Yeah, say you have that, The Illusionist, it was all fake. Like it was the whole story, that was the idea behind it. So I feel like that's okay as long as you do it right. But it's kind of it's often hard to do that right.
Yeah. Well, let's go back. We should probably start back at the beginning. False tension.
False tension.
What is, for anybody listening who doesn't know, let's start with defining and then work forward from there.
So false tension.
We built up all this tension.
Yes.
Just to say that was a dream.
Yeah, we're not really talking about that. We're really going to talk about now.
Yes.
So false tension is purposely withholding information from readers without a good reason,
Okay.
or just to get a reaction. Because again, a lot of writers are told a good story makes readers feel something, get emotional, whatever. And so they do this stuff to get them emotional, thinking that's a good thing. And they often end up making readers angry and frustrated, which you get an
Yeah.
emotion, but usually it's one that is going to end in a bad review, or they're not going to pick up your story again, or whatever. So that's really the hard part. You don't want to do it just to get a reaction. You want to make sure it's pertinent for the story.
And it wouldn't be so. That would be something different than like you're withholding something to build tension that should be revealed to carry the story forward. You're just withholding it, or you're doing something on purpose to try to build tension that isn't going to have a satisfying conclusion. It's not going to have the impact it should on the story.
Yeah.
That would be different than I'm withholding a plot point that should be visible. I'm using some kind like I think I've mentioned before. There's a story. I don't remember who. There's been a few of them.
Yeah.
Where like you're reading from a first person perspective, and it's a detective story, and you know everything that happens till he finds a clue and he picks up a letter and reads it. You're like, well, I as the reader, as the seeing through this first person detective's eyes, have read everything he's read.
Yes.
I've seen everything. Until we get to that one note, and it just says like he read the letter and then put it in his pocket. And that ended up being, and I'm like, well, if I had read that, I would have known too.
Yeah, exactly.
You just stuck that in his pocket, and I've been able to see everything he's seen to help me put the clues together. And you just went, and not this.
Yeah. So that's actually the second form of false tension.
So that would still fall under false tension.
So the idea of withholding something that the reader should know, because you're trying to make the person tense. The idea is that detective had a clue, and you want to know what that is. Like that's supposed to solve the whole case, and so that causes tension because you want to know. But then it's frustrating because you should know.
Yeah.
And that really you've got to look at what your POV is, so your point of view that you're writing from. If it is a deep point of view, either first or third person, where you're in that character's mind, then you have to share whatever they know. If you're not, then you can withhold it. If it was, the sidekick to the detective, you were in their point of view, and the detective picked this up and put it in his pocket.
Yeah,
that would work because we don't know it. So it wouldn't be a big deal. So so that's kind of like the being vague or withholding just to try and have that reveal at the end, but it isn't a good way of doing a reveal.
Yeah.
So there's actually 3 ways to fix that. One is you let your protagonist be on that discovery with the reader. So like the detective, they're trying to solve the crime with the reader. So each time a clue comes up, then your detective learns about it, your reader learns about it at the same time.
Yeah.
The other way is you can let the reveal be about other point of view characters, or not point of view characters. So like if the assistant was the point of view, the detective had the reveal or the clue, then that would work.
Yeah.
The third way is you can do multiple point of views. And then you can keep information from readers about a specific point of view by staying in somebody else's point of view until you want the readers to know that.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is you have to have those point of views all throughout the book. So if you have 2 point of views, the detective and the assistant, you have to have both those point of views all through the book. So at the end, when the detective picks that up, and then we have like, say, 3 chapters of the assistant before we have the detective who then reveals it, it works. You don't want to write
that
the
was
whole...
kind of cheating, though.
Well, it depends. If the only reason the assistant is in there is to hold that reveal at the end, then yes, that's cheating. But if you're actually using that person for other parts of the story, then
well, I mean, for the cheating part, I feel like is if I jump out of, so I have detective and assistant, Watson and Sherlock.
Yeah.
And even if I'm jumping back and forth, perspective to back and forth, once I jump back into Sherlock's head, if he's the one that found the clue, and he's putting pieces together as he moves along, I'm like, well, you went to Watson's perspective when he found this one clue, And now I'm back in his head. Well, he knows about that clue and it's influencing his decisions. And as I'm riding along with him,
Mm-hmm.
so not telling me that, I'm like, that's kind of a cheat.
Yeah, no, and that's not what I was saying. Like when we get to Sherlock's point of view, you would then tell
Then
the
reveal
readers.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like he's still like, oh well, I learned that, but now I'm not thinking about it in this chapter, so you're still not gonna know. I feel like that is a cheat, especially if it's a big thing that is going to motivate how he's moving throughout this whole thing. So yeah, I've read some authors, some big authors, like big names, that they have multiple point of views and one person learns something. We go to somebody else's point of view, and then when we go back to theirs, it's like they're constantly saying, I can't think about that now. I can't do that now. And it's like, they clearly were thinking about it, but you're trying to mention that they can't because you don't want the reader to know. And it drives me nuts. Yeah. So yeah, I totally.
It's like if I said, don't think of elephant. Don't think of an elephant. I'm like, everybody who just heard me say that just thought of an elephant.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I agree. Like when you hit that point of view again, at that point you have to give that reveal. Like unless there's just extraneous circumstances. I mean, if that scene all of a sudden they're fighting for their life, they obviously wouldn't think about it. Okay, fine. But like you can't do that all the time. So
yeah. But, I was gonna say, like, what mechanisms can you use to try to build that tension? And if there are clues you want to drop to let people feel the tension, feel like something's moving forward, but withhold it effectively, because you have to find a way. In my mind, it would have to be somehow withheld from both the main character and the reader, but with clues dropped into the story sufficient enough that if you went back and were like, wait a minute, let me get out my bulletin board and pins and strings, put it together, you'd be like, wait a minute, here, this is the picture that it paints.
Yes.
So how can you do that as an author to build that tension, hide those clues, and have, when you get to the end, be like, boom, now it's there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to do it. Using ambiguity, I think, is my favorite. So that's different from being vague. Vague is like, oh, I don't know. I can't even think of anything right now.
Yeah.
But, just like you don't give a clear picture of what's going on.
So ambiguity would be the person, almost gets run over, and they thought maybe it was someone trying to kill them, but it's a foggy night and they stumbled down the bank, and as they looked up, they saw tail lights and something speeding away, but they couldn't quite see through the fog. Like, it could be anything. It could have been a truck, it could have been the car, it could have been red, could have been black. We don't know. Vagueness is they looked up and it was in the middle of the afternoon, and they're just like, and they saw a car. Like,
yes.
Well, that's not.
Yeah, it's like not helpful. Yeah, and that's the thing is vagueness is usually not giving a clear picture, while ambiguity usually gives a clear picture, but it can be interpreted multiple ways.
Yeah.
And then that's where your reveal comes in. So like you can have these clues that the protagonist always interprets a certain way. Like someone's trying to kill me. Okay, someone poisoned this. Someone, played with my brakes. Someone constantly doing that the whole time. Then your reader is going to think that's the way it is, but maybe everything can be interpreted as all accidents or whatever. Or maybe it's the other way around. They interpret it as accidents, and the reader's like, well, these all could be specific instances of someone trying to hurt you. So, but it is that where you have multiple ways of interpreting what happens, and then you take your protagonist and kind of, like, you have to give supporting evidence for both versions, the false one and the true one. Otherwise, when you get to the end, the reader's going to be upset because like you didn't give me any clues for this other way. But the key is to make it feel like this other way is actually probably what's happening. And then at the end, you can flip it.
Yeah. So it'd be like in real life, if you are a detective and like you can't have a relationship with somebody who's a prime suspect or a key witness in a case. If you're, somebody you're related to gets murdered, there's restrictions on what you can do from an investigatory perspective.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be biased and influenced, see things a certain way that everybody else is going to go, I don't see it that way.
Yes, exactly.
So if you can paint that picture of that would be the what is it the narrator that lies, what is it called?
Oh, unreliable narrator.
Yeah, the unreliable narrator. Sometimes that's the main character.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like pretty much every character is unreliable narrator because we're all biased to what we want to see and think. But yes, yeah, definitely. That's kind of how you can steer your readers one way or another. You just want to make sure you have the actual facts and clues put in there for the reveal, which I have a whole post on reveal. So if anybody watching or listening wants to look into that, like it's more clearly laid out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be a way to do it.
So with actual tension, then like you've got those ways that you want to build, keep things from your reader in an effective way,
mm-hmm.
because you as the writer, you already know who the bad guy is.
Yes.
I mean, most of the time. Sometimes there are people that are like, well, I'm writing the story and I'm not sure who my bad guy's going to be yet.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we get surprised in the end. We're like, oh, it was that one.
Yeah. But for the most part, like, you know how the story's going to go. You know the direction it's going to go. You can't just be like, and he was dead the whole time. Right at the beginning of the story.
Yes. Yeah, you can't cheat it like that.
So then how do we do it effectively? How do we build that tension and avoid false tension?
Yeah, so tension, we've talked a lot about the reveals side of it. It can also just be situational.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of good ways to do that is to work on the stakes. So like the possible negative consequences of things that are going to happen, because readers often are going through the story to figure out what happened. So it's the future they're looking for. So if they know there's this possible bad consequence coming, they want to know, is it going to happen or not?
Yeah.
So adding in the stakes helps with tension. And then on top of that, just doing like conflict between characters. So you have two clashing personalities or two characters with different goals that are trying to both get the same thing, essentially. Like one of them will succeed and one of them won't.
Yeah.
So that causes tension. Contradictions. Like if your point of view character sees a situation and it has conflicting signals, that causes tension. Like if you're watching another character and they have this really nice tone of voice and everything, and then they say something that is clearly like a death threat, that causes tension because you're like, oh my goodness, like was that a joke or was that serious? Like so that'll cause tension. And then you can cause tension just internally as well for the protagonist. Usually that can be with like conflicting beliefs and goals. So if they have a certain belief this way and their goal means they're going to have to break that belief, that causes tension. Like, are they going to stay true to what they believe or are they going to go after what they want?
Yeah.
Or just like maybe they did something and they have the guilt of that. And so they're struggling with that the whole time of how to redeem themselves. So you can do a lot with the emotions internally with the protagonist as well to cause tension.
Yeah. I was just thinking while you were talking about that, going through like conflict and contradiction. And I was thinking in terms of, let's take Iron Man in the Marvel universe versus like Emma in the book Emma.
Yeah. Jane Austen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have Emma where Iron Man, the fate of the world, and in some cases the universe, rests on his shoulders.
Yes.
And in Emma, you have, somebody might be unhappy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say some relationships might be ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both of those stories are equally worthy of being told.
Yes.
So from a tension perspective, it doesn't matter the scale.
No, and actually the wider scale stuff generally doesn't bring a lot of tension because it's too, like, our minds can't grasp it. It's like the end of the world and we're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. But if you zoom into this one dad trying to save his daughter.
Yeah.
that is
well-
where the tension really brings. So I think just making sure you have that personal connection with them is really what brings it.
Well, even let's zoom into a personal scale. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein versus Emma.
Mm-hmm.
So in Frankenstein, it's the the doctor and the monster,
Yeah.
and it's a life versus life perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's not the end of the world. It's literally just um, the it's a life or death situation.
Yeah, they're higher stakes.
Yeah, higher stakes. But again, then that compared to Emma, it's still like the same number of people, but in one side it's sadness and some relationship frustration.
Yes.
Versus death.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can both be tense, but also engaging.
Yeah.
Regardless of the story, because some people don't like life and death stakes.
Yeah.
And they want the lower stakes kind of stories. But that doesn't mean you still don't have that tension there that makes the reader want to know what's happening next. And I got to figure this out.
Yeah. Another, you've got The Rescuers Down Under. Mm-hmm. If you've watched those.
I have.
Yes. In both of those stories, they kind of play on the same thing because they're helping children.
Yes.
And in one case, it's a child who has been kidnapped and being abused.
Yeah.
To
kind of like child slave labor.
Yeah, because she's small enough she can go down to try to find where the diamond is. Yes. So they can send her down. It's like, that's pretty. If you think about it, that's a Disney cartoon. Oh, what is it about? Well, they kidnapped this little girl and they're sending her down a hole where she's going to drown to force her to, crawl through mud with rats and stuff
it's pretty
to get a diamond. You're like, what?
And this is a kid's movie.
Right?
Yes.
And then Rescuers Down Under, same thing. It's a kid. Again, like, this kid saw a bad guy. He got kidnapped and stuck in a cage.
Yeah, say an animal trapper. And he wasn't supposed to be trapping, what was it, the golden eagle?
The golden eagle.
Yeah. And so
use the kid as bait.
Yeah, to get the eagle. Yeah. still pretty, yeah.
But to scale, you build all the tension and it's about mice that, befriend other creatures to go save kids.
Yes.
From stuff.
Yeah.
But it could be or The Tale of Despero.
I haven't heard that one.
The mouse that wants to be. Is Despero the one that lives in the town of Soup? Yeah,
the
Despero.
Town of Soup.
Yeah, the town is called Soup.
Oh.
And they used to make soup, but then the queen died eating a bowl of soup one day, and they had like a magic chef that would make soup for the whole town.
Mm.
And then when she died, the king got all depressed and everything. So
yeah,
Despero wants to save a princess. He's just a little mouse that wants to save a princess. Anyway, it ends up they rejuvenate the town and bring all the soup back.
Okay.
There's all kinds of different stories. All of those stories, if you look at what are the stakes?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the stakes on a grand scale, it's not life or death. It's not, maybe it's I'm gonna not be able to pass my class.
Yeah.
It could literally be a story about, this one semester of college or one semester of middle school.
Mm-hmm.
The Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yes. Yeah. And so, the stakes don't necessarily, they help with tension, but they aren't the sole creator of it. And that's where you can use the other things of just conflict between people, conflict within a person, and then those contradictions that you can do in any setting, like just a normal, Pride and Prejudice. We're just trying to get our daughters married. But that's a big deal to them. Therefore, we care about it because it feels like such a big deal. And then all these obstacles that come in the way that prevent it or make them have to work their way around to get to their goal, that creates the tension. So,
yeah. So, what are If you were to pick out and say, here, these are some elements that I really like to see for building tension or creating tension. Here's some environments or some aspects of tension building that really work. Are there any things you can pinpoint that say, in general, these are some key things that really help effectively build tension in a story?
I'm trying to remember. I actually, okay, so I have a post on this and I didn't bring the notes on it, but there's the 5 modes of narration. See if I can remember them all. There's action, dialogue, description, interiority, and that 5th one always eludes me.
Freedom of speech.
Yes, there we go. Let's go with that one. Anyways, but in these, you can use them to create tension.
Yeah.
So in we'll say in action, obviously there's the threat of harm or something not going the way you want it to go. Just different ways that you can put something in there that creates tension by like basically making things not go the way they're supposed to. In dialogue, it's more usually argumentative. Like whenever you have a conversation, having people agree all the time isn't helpful.
Yeah.
So having those different viewpoints, or even just the way someone says something, can cause tension. So instead of saying, you know, like this person in front of me at the checkout has all these coupons and it's taking me forever to check out.
Yeah.
You could go like this, you know, this stupid poor person that can't feed their family, you know, like that causes, like, makes the reader feel uncomfortable because we're like, you know what, like I know people who coupon that are not poor, like chill out. But like it causes that emotional tension in your reader, but then you're also causing tension with this character and like the people around them and stuff. So like you can do things like that where that will create tension or conflict, which creates tension as well. Let's see, what were the other ones I said? Description. That's where contradiction really comes in with the whole like you have a nice tone and then they say a death threat, or you walk into this room and it's this, I don't know, we'll say it's a nursery. It's a cute little nursery and you got all these little sunshines around the room and happy colors, and then there's a dead body on the floor.
Yeah, there's a red-haired doll with a knife.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like, okay, like what just happened? Because you don't want to think that some nice place like that could have that.
Yeah.
So that causes tension for your reader and your protagonist. So really in descriptions, those contradictions is where you can create that tension. I mean, as well as obviously you can set a setting to make it feel creepy or scary, but like just simple things like that where it doesn't have to be a dead body, but you know, it could just be, you know, some little thing that you're like, huh, that's kind of odd. I wonder what that is or what that's going to mean later.
Yeah.
That will add it. And then obviously in interiority, it's just being able to have those beliefs battling against each other. And maybe they have 2 beliefs that have never conflicted, and all of a sudden they're in a situation where they do, and they have to figure out where they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
I really wish I could remember what that 5th one is. But anyways, if you look online, it has the 5 narrative modes.
You are building tension right now.
I'm building tension.
There's a 5th one.
Go online to liznerdy.com and you can figure out what the 5th one is. So bad I should know it because I wrote it, but you know, I don't remember everything perfectly that I learned. So
we don't remember characters' names sometimes.
Yes, yeah, I've had that a few times.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so if you want practical steps to create tension, I would look at that that post, because that definitely has a lot more actionable, like do this, do that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can think about different books, different things that I've read, movies, whatnot, where tension is built differently. And one of the books that I read, I think it was in 5th grade when I read it, was Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Big fat book.
Yeah.
But I've reread it since then, and I want to go back and read it again. It's actually really well written. If you've never read Jurassic Park,
I haven't. I saw the movie, and I unfortunately was like, no, I can't.
Yeah. So,
but it does have some good lines. But I haven't actually picked up the book.
So the book, from a tension building perspective, like the movie, the first Jurassic Park movie, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It was well done.
Yeah.
It has nothing on the book.
Okay.
Like the way that the tension is built in that from the very beginning. It's like you're on the verge of dinosaurs. Like the dinosaurs, I don't want to give away too, but I mean, you find out right at the very beginning.
Yes.
Like the dinosaurs aren't just trapped in Jurassic Park and the park is shut down, and the dinosaurs are already, they couldn't contain them. They're already not trapped on the island.
Okay.
On, in the park.
Mm-hmm.
You find that out in the prologue of the book.
Okay. Yeah.
And the whole, like, it's a very the contradictive scene of like being in literally in a nursery, and it's kind of disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
So like reading the opening scene, you're like, what? Holy crap.
This is gonna be a ride.
Yeah. And it's like that the whole way, and at any point, like, nobody's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's safe. There is no and the sword was falling and then cling, another sword stopped. It's like, no, if the sword's falling and you can't stop it, sorry, your head gets chopped off.
Yeah.
So that book is one book that I would say, from a tension building perspective, that it starts and then you just, like, I don't remember how many pages that book is. It's huge. But in fifth grade, I read the whole thing. Like, I stopped to sleep for a little bit and then I picked it up and I finished it. I'm like, I read the whole thing in a matter of like a weekend. And it's a long book, and I was in fifth grade.
Yeah. But it kind of has almost that ticking clock thing. It's like, the dinosaurs are out, they're coming.
Yeah.
And you've got to like get through the whole book to figure out if they stop them or not.
Because it's literally like that. Every single element it's like tick, tick, like it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming,
Yeah.
And you're on that ride and it never lets off the gas through the entire book.
Huh. Well, that's good to know.
So.
I might actually have to read it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so while you're discussing that, you were talking about how the prologue and that it sets up that the dinosaurs are already out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that made me think that another way you can do tension, especially if you have multiple point of view characters, is you could have one character know something that the other character doesn't.
Yeah.
And then the readers will know, oh my goodness, this is coming. This person doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
How are they going to react when it gets there? And that also adds tension. The expectation of, like, I know it's coming and I can't wait to see how they react.
Yeah. That's actually that's a tension that I like a lot in stories. Especially, like, maybe it's stories that tell you have the POV of the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe if it's not even the main villain, but villains.
Yeah.
You get alternate POVs. That's one of the reasons I like varying POVs.
Yes.
Is so I can be like, I know what this person knows, but my main character person doesn't know it, and I know they don't know it. And I'm like, you just got to ask this question, but you're not, and I can see why you don't.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't think of that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get the backstory that I read.
Yes.
And there's no way for me to say, shout into the book and be like, main character,
yes,
you have to know this.
Yes. Yeah. I think one of my favorite things is there's an author, Drew Hayes, and he wrote the series Superpowers. I loved the series. It's essentially where certain people have superpowers, certain people are normal, and then there's the Powards, which are people who have superpowers, but they can't control them. So they're like a hazard to society, basically. Yeah. And so it's kind of about these Powards and how they undergo this procedure that supposedly is going to help them control their powers, and they're trying to see if it works, kind of thing. But anyways, they have you know, they have to have like hidden identities and all this kind of stuff. And you know, like this person's identity and this person's identity, but they don't know each other's identity. And you spend the whole time just going, "Oh my gosh, okay, they almost figured it out." I was like, if they had just done this one thing,
Yeah.
And so
If they just
I love it. It's
looked on the back of the door and saw the outfit hanging on the back of the door, but they didn't. They just opened it.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, but nobody would look behind the door and be like, "I wonder what that is back there."
Yeah. Yeah, but we didn't have to, so it was great. So, but yeah, Drew, he's great at all that because he has another one that follows superheroes as well. It's a different universe, but it follows the villains.
Yeah.
But it's like this: the heroes and the villains sort of have to work together sometimes to stop like things that neither one of them wants to happen. And you follow a villain character, and of course, she's a normal person. She has like a normal life. She's also like hidden identity kind of thing.
Yeah.
And superheroes literally move in next door to her. And she knows they're superheroes, but they don't know she's the villain. And so it's this whole like they become friends and like she's starting to care about them and they care about her, but if they know her secret, like what would happen? It just creates all this tension. So yeah, so that's the villain's kid. So anyways, but he's like the king of that and I love those. So I'm with you. I love that whole like I know it but you don't. And I can't wait to see how you react when you figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and going back to like that detective thing where he read the paper. Like if there was some way, I know it's first person POV, so it's hard if your whole story is from that to let the reader know something. You know, you can't reveal something to the reader that the first person POV who's telling me the story doesn't know.
Yes.
So it's a challenge to keep those things, you know, put all those clues together, drop hints to let me as the reader try to figure them out without just giving me the answer.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful in, I would say, if you're trying to tell a story, what is your perspective? You have to understand what's your narrative form.
Yes. If you're in a deep point view at all, so first person or third person, if you are being only this person and you only see what this person does, I find the best way is to treat that character as the reader.
Yeah.
And so you literally have to lead them as you would lead a reader through your story. So whether that's clues, reveals, whatever. And if you kind of hold to that, you can usually make it work. But it is hard to have to... A lot of people say doing multiple point of views is so hard because you have to be multiple characters and stuff. And I agree. You have to make each distinct, so that is difficult. But I really think writing from one perspective is a lot harder because there's so many things, like nuances, that you have to do to get the same kind of reaction that you do with multiple.
Yeah. Well, maybe like I could see if I'm from a fantasy perspective, having a single POV through a fantasy story where it's coming of age and development and a hero's growth story and everything like that. Like, I think I could write from a single perspective and be just fine. It's I'm a detective and I have to present clues in such a way that my reader, if they think about it correctly, they can figure it out. But that also means the detective whose brain you're in could also think that same way and figure it out.
Yes.
And if they don't, there has to be a reason why.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't just say, well, I'm not going to tell the reader. But I would know.
Yes.
I need this tension so my reader doesn't get to know.
Yeah, reveals are really hard to do. And they are classic in mysteries. And I think maybe thrillers as well. So that's a form of tension that's hard to pull off.
But maybe, I mean, thinking about it, I do read a lot of fantasy. I read a lot of different genres, but fantasy is my like fallback.
Yes.
And maybe thinking about it, maybe it's because of that you get to know what other people know. Even if you have multiple main characters, multiple characters that you're following, they don't all know the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get to have that, you get to experience that on a regular basis.
Yes.
You can build any type of, whether it's relationship tension or plot tension or, you know, all the different things you just went through. You can build all of those in a single scene.
Yes.
Because you get to see it from all these different perspectives and everybody's not looking through the same set of eyes.
Yes.
So you get to see it through all these eyes and be like, no, John knows this. As soon as soon as Wendy knows, it'll be fine.
Yeah, like, why don't you just share information?
Right?
Yes. But sometimes they don't know how to ask those questions, which is also kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, they're not the reader.
Yes.
They're,
Yeah, they don't know.
they don't know. If they were reading this, if they were Robin Hood Men in Tights, they could be like, wait, does Robin get another? Well, let's pull the script out. And
Yeah.
they open up the script in
Double
the
check.
movie.
Yeah.
So is there anything that we didn't cover? Anything you didn't dive into that you wanted to dive into with false tension?
I think there's just 2 points we didn't quite cover. And that's just things to ask yourself on whether or not you have false tension and you need to change it. And first is if the tension and its outcome doesn't have an impact on your plot or your protagonist, then it doesn't need to be there. It's false tension. That tension has to be there for a reason, for the story or for the character arc. And if it doesn't, if it's the waking up of the dream kind of thing, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then the other one is to ask yourself, does your point of view character know the reveal before the readers do? If the answer is yes, then you need to rewrite it so that they either don't or you let the readers know. It's kind of like we said, like if your point of view character knows it, your reader should know it. So those are just the 2 checks that I usually do to be like, okay, this is a tense scene. Is this false tension or good tension? And I ask those 2 things. And if I get it clear on both of those, I'm like, okay, it's good. We're moving on.
Okay. And that kind of those two questions to ask, again, whether it's life or death, or I might not get an A this semester.
Yeah.
Building the tension in either scenario, those 2 questions apply.
Yeah.
The fate of the universe, or whether or not your cake collapses in the center in the oven.
Yes.
Either way,
yeah. You have to know if it's going to impact it, because in one story, that cake collapsing could mean the baker's end to their business. Like this was the big job they got to promote themselves, and if they can't pull it off, they're going to go bankrupt. Yeah. But if it's just a woman stress baking in her kitchen and she doesn't work and moves on, it doesn't affect the character arc or the story arc. You don't need it. It's filler.
Yeah. I mean, so thinking about that, Jared, the Great British Baking Show.
Mm.
Like, we'll watch that. Like, couple of guys
yep.
in our 40s.
Why not?
We will be like, we got to make some food. Let's turn on the Great British Baking Show.
Yeah.
It's baking, and they build tension.
Yeah.
By putting, like, there's time limits on things. They're in the tent. I'm like, geez, oh Pete, man. British weather.
Yeah.
With no air conditioning, no climate control. You're just in a tent and you're going to bake. Well, that seems terrible.
Yes.
Like cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes.
But, you're building tension in a baking show.
Yes, exactly.
We have a guest. Molly, are you going to be our guest?
You're Molly. Come here.
So, yeah, if you can build tension in a Great British Baking Show, you can build tension in the story. You just have to ask those 2 questions, and that's not the total answer.
Yeah, that's just a check.
Yeah, but if you can get past those 2, then you can elaborate more or go deeper into the tension that you're building. But you get past those 2, and it doesn't matter whether it's baking a cake or saving the world. You've got the premise for tension that will pull your reader forward and want them to keep going. And you reveal it, you give them the answer correctly, and it'll give them that sense of satisfaction from the tension that they felt.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anything else? Any tips, tricks, final things you want to throw out there to tell people to look at?
That's what I got. At least here, if they want to know more, they can go to lizverity.com, and you could probably just put in my search bar tension, but I have a couple posts on tension, the 5 narrative modes. And hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, so definitely do that. Go to lizverity.com. If you haven't signed up for her newsletter, she sends out good information.
Yes, yep. I have a bi-weekly writing advice newsletter for any writers, or if you just want my quarterly newsletter just to see how my writing journey is going, you can sign up for that too.
Yeah. So go do that, lizverity.com. Liz, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an interesting discussion.
It has. Always is.
And thank you for coming along. We will see you next time. Till then, go in good spirits. Thanks for listening to the Creators Guild podcast. Don't forget to get your copy of A Flight from Shadows, available on Amazon. While you're there, please rate it and give it a review. If you like the Creators Guild, please like and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends. Until next time, go in good spirits.